Hello everyone, my name is Mahauni Fuller and I'm here to talk to you about some books that go with your school's theme for this week, which is STEM. And of course you know that stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. Now a lot of you probably went boring and turned your brains off, but don't do that yet because the books I'm going to present to you are just a little different. They're really fun, really entertaining, and I think you're really going to like them. I'm going to start by telling you a story. One day, a man named Thomas Beale left a locked box with a hotel manager named Richard Morris. Richard Morris was told if he hadn't seen Mr. Beale in 10 years to go ahead and open the box and see what was inside. The next morning, Thomas Beale left town and was never seen again. So years later, of course, Morris did what he was told and he opens up the box. Inside, he finds a letter addressed to himself and 3 pages of coded message, all numbers all over the pages. As Morris reads the letter from Mr. Beale, he finds a fantastic tale of buried treasure, gold, silver, and jewels amounting to about $20 million in today's money is buried. And Beale said that a key to the coded pages would be delivered by mail, and that in those coded pages, Morris would be able to find the buried treasure. Unfortunately, that key was never delivered, and so Morris spent years trying to interpret this code and figure out where the location of the treasure was. He was never able to figure it out. And that treasure, the treasure of Thomas Beale, is still hidden to this day. Now this story sounds like something from a movie, but it's really not. This really happened in the 1800s, and that $20 million is still out there hiding, waiting for somebody to find it today. Now that is just one of the fascinating stories you're going to find in the Code Book by Simon Singh. This book contains all sorts of information about secret codes, hidden treasures, assassinations, all kinds of great stories, and it tells you how you can make your own codes so that you can write secret messages that your teachers will never know how to read. So be sure to pick up the Code Book by Simon Singh for some really great stories. Now we're going to move to a kind of a different direction, and I'm going to ask you how many of you like art? Raise your hand. Art's a really great subject. I love art. It's great to take something that's in your brain and put it down on paper or make something, and it was never there before. A really fun experience. And a lot of you are now thinking, why are we talking about art? I thought we were talking about science. We are. Art and science actually go really close together. In fact, one of the world's most famous artists was also a scientist. How many of you have heard of the Mona Lisa? The Mona Lisa is one of the most famous paintings in the world. It was painted by a man named Leonardo da Vinci, and he was an inventor and a scientist as well. He invented some plastics. He invented invisible ink, a new way of making paints. He invented tanks and trebuchets and hygrometers and helicopters and airplanes and all kinds of other really cool things. Now, when you pick up amazing Leonardo da Vinci inventions you can build yourself, you won't just find out about these inventions, you'll find out how to make these inventions. So you can make an invisible ink and write secret messages, or you can make shoes so that you can walk on water. There's some really awesome inventions here that you can make with just the things that are already lying around your house. It's pretty simple, but pretty fun. So make sure you check out Amazing Leonardo da Vinci Inventions You Can Build Yourself by Maxine Anderson. Now we're going to follow along with our art theme and talk about the next book called Radioactive by Lauren Redness. Now Radioactive tells the story of Marie and Pierre Curie, whose scientific work and inventions led to the creation of the X-ray machine and the atomic bomb. They're pretty cool. This book isn't exactly a graphic novel, but it does kind of read like one. It reads with a combination of pictures and text, sketches, and something called cyanotype printing to give a very visual and very beautiful account of the tale of Marie and Pierre's lives. There's also some secrets hidden in the text. For example, the beginning of the book starts out with just sketches. like this. Marie and Pierre don't know each other, so everything's in black and white. And then as they get to know each other and as they start to work together, things change and are more colorful, and that shows their relationship and how it grew. So that's just one of the awesome secrets that you'll find in Radioactive, Marie and Pierre Curie, A Tale of Love and Fallout by Lauren Redness. Okay, now Marie and Pierre Curie, they actually inspired a lot of people to work in the sciences. And one of those people was a boy named David Hahn. David Hahn was a typical teenager growing up in the 1980s in Michigan. And he loved science. When he was young, his parents divorced and they separated, so he spent a lot of time bouncing back and forth between homes. And the only constant in his life was really that science. So he loved to experiment. And as he grew, the experiments got bigger and bigger. And one day his dad had to say to him, "David, you can't bring stuff in the house that could blow us up." So David kind of pulled it back a little bit, and everyone thought everything was fine until one day the US government showed up on David's mother's lawn. David had built a nuclear reactor in his mother's garden shed. And Radioactive Boy Scout is the tale of that nuclear reactor and how David built it. It's a pretty fascinating tale, and you'll find out all about science and kind of ways that you can sneak around it. There's some really cool stuff in here. So pick up The Radioactive Boy Scout by Ken Silverstein today. Now for our last book, we're going to do something just a little bit different. This book has to do with something a little bit strange, something that you might not think of when you think of science and technology, engineering, and math. So how many of you like magic? I know I do. And how many of you would like to learn to impress your friends by doing these magic tricks? Well, if that's you, then Math Tricks and Number Magic by Chris Wardle is the way to go. This book contains nothing but amazing magic tricks that'll impress and astound your friends and family. Now they start off pretty simple at the beginning, like this trick. Now through the computer, through our presentation, I am going to read your mind and guess the number that you're thinking. So the first thing I want you to do is think of a number between 1 and 8. Not 1 or 8, but between 1 and 8. Once you've got that number in mind, think about it and multiply it by 9. Okay, so if you picked 6, you go 6 times 9. You got that in your head? Now I want you to take those 2 digits of your answer and add them together. So if your answer was 32, you take 3 and 2, add them together and get 5. So take your 2 digits and add them together. Now I want you to add 1. Now through the power of magic, I'm going to think about you and what I don't know about you, and I'm going to tell you that your answer is 10. Am I right? I hope I'm right. That's just one of the simple tricks that start out at the beginning of the book. Now, as you go on, there's some more difficult magic tricks that you can learn to do. And this is an example of one of the more difficult magic tricks. You will probably need either a piece of paper and a pencil or a calculator for this trick. So if you want to pause the video now, you can go ahead and get those. Otherwise, what we're going to do is I'm going to have you select a number, a 3-digit number that goes in descending order. For example, if you picked 3, 2, 1, I'll just write that on my piece of paper. All of those go in descending order, 3, 2, 1. And you can pick any number that you'd like, 5, 4, 3, 6, 5, 2, anything you'd like. Once you've written that down, I want you to reverse it and write it under it. So you'd write 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or whatever the reverse of yours is. And then you're going to subtract those. Okay, now what we're going to do with that number is I'm going to help you pick a card. I'm going to magically tell you what card you're going to pick from a standard deck of cards. So you've got your 4 suits, you've got your ace through king, and we're going to pick a card. So I want you to look at your answer, your 3-digit answer, and I want you to circle that middle number. That's going to be the number of your card. Then I want you to look at the 2 side numbers, the first and the last digit. If they are both even, then your card will be a heart. If they are both odd, then your card will be a diamond. If one is even and one is odd, your card will be a spades. So look at that. Do you have hearts, diamonds, or spades? And what is your number? And in this standard deck of cards, I believe that you chose the card 9 of spades. Was I right? I hope I was. So those are just a few of the simple tricks that you can do if you pick up Math Tricks and Number Magic by Chris Wardle. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you find even more books that will help you get involved in those STEM projects here at your school. See you next time.